Okay, thank you everyone for coming today. My name is Sharonda Dillard-Huffman, and I have worked with the ACLU and other members of our community because we are here today to talk about redistricting. Redistricting in Baltimore County is happening now, and I think we're nearing the end. We want to reiterate that we have about 30% of black people that live in Baltimore County. We also have a 50% minority, almost 50% minorities that live in Baltimore County. And we should have a map that reflects the diversity of our county. And we're here today to have this conversation. We're hearing a lot of things that, well, I don't think you really should have that many people or have that many people representing you. This is the only opportunity that we're going to have in a long time to change the way business is done in Baltimore County. Right now, we are represented by 7 men. We have never had a woman of color to ever represent Baltimore County. And I'm here today to take a stand. And I want to start off by, there's a lot of people that support our cause. I want to start off with the ACLU of Maryland. They have been a great partner. Also 1199 SEIU, United Healthcare Workers East, Baltimore County branch of the NAACP, who's here today also, Baltimore County Fair Maps Coalition, Indivisible Baltimore County, Senator Charles Sidner, Delegate Shell Pastor, Delegate Sheila Ruth, and Delegate Scott Phillips. I also want to say that we have some speakers today. I first want to start off with my dear friend, Ms. Peter Richkus. She represents the Baltimore County Fair Maps Coalition, and she will also read a statement from Delegate Sheila Ruth. I apologize. Delegate Pastor.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Richkus. I'm one of the organizers of the Baltimore County Fair Maps Coalition, which formed in 2021 to advocate for a more open, transparent, and participatory redistricting process. I also serve on the leadership team of Indivisible Baltimore County, a progressive grassroots organization committed to responsive and accountable government and to defending the constitutional rights of every individual. At the heart of those rights is the right to vote, and to have that vote count, to have a voice in our government, to have our voices matter, and for all of our communities to have a seat at the table. That starts with a fair map. We're here today to support a simple, fair, and legally sound principle. Baltimore County's new council map should reflect the people who live here. That's why Baltimore County Fair Maps Coalition has been supporting a 3-1-5 map. 3 majority black districts, 1 majority BIPOC district, and 5 majority white districts. Why 3-1-5? Because a 3-1-5 configuration of the new 9-district council map reflects the reality of Baltimore County in 2025. Black residents now make up over 30% of the county's population. Together, people of color, including Black, Latino, Asian, and Indigenous communities, make up, as Sharonda said, nearly half. It's the 3-1-5 map that reflects this diversity in a fair and proportional way. Tonight, the Redistricting Commission is set to announce which maps will advance for final consideration. 2 maps were on the table at the beginning of this process: the Council's Bill 4724 map and the Commission's Iteration 1 draft. Both follow a 2-1-6 pattern. They offer 2 majority black districts and purport to include 1 majority minority district. but both fail to recognize the established and vibrant communities of color on the east side of the county. Both give Black residents just 22% of the seats on a 9-member council, despite the fact that Black residents make up more than 30% of the population. Both the 4724 and Iteration 1 maps would entrench historical white dominance by drawing 2/3 of the new 9 districts to serve only half of the population. This would clearly dilute minority voting power, and that is exactly what the Voting Rights Act prohibits. The good news is that the public process is working, and I need to acknowledge and thank the redistricting commissioners and the staff who have supported them for their work and the time and consideration they have devoted to the task. I don't think they could have foreseen how much work would be involved. And still, they have continued to endeavor to make the process accessible and transparent. As a result, progress has been made. We're seeing a growing consensus around 2 key goals: sustaining strong Black representation on the west side, where the majority of the county's Black population resides, and creating a majority BIPOC district on the east side to represent the whole of Baltimore County's BIPOC butterfly. So far, the map that comes closest to proportional representation is the Commission's Iteration 2, proposed by Commissioner Lisa Belcastro. It's a 2-2-5 map with 2 majority Black districts and 2 majority minority districts, including 1 on the east side. There is still time for the Commission to go further, to fully meet the standard of proportional representation that the Voting Rights Act embodies. A 3-1-5 configuration is not just fair, it's legal, feasible, and tested. The ACLU has submitted several proof of concept maps showing how a 3-1-5 map can be drawn while also meeting the charter requirements that districts be compact, contiguous, equally populated, and respectful of natural and community boundaries. But let's be clear, federal law, especially the Voting Rights Act, takes precedence in redistricting. This is not optional. As the Supreme Court reaffirmed in Allen v. Milligan just last year, jurisdictions must not dilute the strength of minority communities. This is not about parties or politics. It's about fair representation and full electoral participation. No map guarantees the outcome of any election, but a 3-1-5 map ensures that all communities of Baltimore County have a fair opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. A 3-1-5 map reflects the county's changing demographics and helps correct past injustices, including the 2021 map that was struck down in federal court for violating the Voting Rights Act and cost county taxpayers more than $1 million to defend. Today, we call on the Redistricting Commission and ultimately the County Council adopt a map that reflects the true demographics of Baltimore County, a map that complies with federal law, a map that builds trust in our local government. A 3-1-5 map is fair, it's legal, and it's time. Thank you. The redistricting process for Baltimore County has generated a great deal of conversation among most of the residents. I have heard 2 things repeatedly: preserve our communities and have a county council that reflects the demographics of that district. Clearly, there are 2 districts with strong African American populations. possible one with a more inclusive minority population. I stand firmly for the fairest possible redistricting map, one that reflects the demographics, needs, interests, and direction for the growth of the communities in that district. I look forward to a map that will draw out the best candidates to give all communities, especially those long underserved, a real opportunity to proudly elect someone of their choice who truly cares about that district. Redistricting must adhere to the Voting Rights Act and be guided by principles of equity and fairness, not used to preserve the status quo. Delegate Sharonda.
Thank you so much. We will now hear from the ACLU Deputy Executive Director, Veronica Dunlap. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Veronica Dunlap, and I am the Deputy Executive Director of the ACLU. I am also a resident and registered voter in Baltimore County, right here in Towson. The ACLU of Maryland has a long history of advocating for equal rights under the landmark 1965 Voting Rights Act. And for over 30 years, the ACLU of Maryland's legal team has been ensuring that municipalities and counties in Maryland comply with the Voting Rights Act. On behalf of the ACLU of Maryland, I urge the Redistricting Commission to responsibly lead this once-in-a-generation opportunity to create a redistricting plan that brings true representative democracy to Baltimore County. The process is about more than drawing lines. It's about ensuring that our local government will finally reflect and be responsive to the incredible diversity of our community, as well as comply with the law. The law is clear. The Voting Rights Act requires that voters and cohesive racial minority groups be afforded an effective and realistic opportunity to elect officials of their choice, with opportunities roughly proportional to the group's percentage of the population. If a third of the population is Black in Baltimore County, then a third of the district should reflect that. It is possible and legal. Our expert demographer has shown that Baltimore County can create 3 majority Black districts and 1 majority BIPOC district while fully complying with legal and traditional redistricting criteria. We've shared examples of these 3-1-5 maps with the Redistricting Commission. You might recall that in 2022, a federal court found that Baltimore County likely violated the Voting Rights Act by packing Black voters into 1 district when there were only 7 districts. U.S. District Judge Lydia K. Grigsby rejected the county's plan, finding that it denied Black voters equal opportunity to elect representatives of their choice. The court found there can be no genuine dispute that the past discrimination in Baltimore County continues to hinder the ability of Black county voters to participate effectively in the political processes. And until 2001, no person of color had ever been elected to the county council. In 2002, after extensive advocacy, the county created its first majority Black district, leading to the election of Kenneth Oliver. But instead of building on that progress, the county continued to pack Black voters into a single supermajority district. In 2020, the proposed map had District 4 at nearly 75% Black. And the math, it's simple. If you ask a child how to divide a class fairly, they look at the numbers and divide accordingly. Baltimore County is nearly 50% Black and people of color. So how can it be fair or legal that for those communities to have real influence in only 2 of 9 districts? Packing Black voters into 2 districts on the west side of the county is a textbook violation of the Voting Rights Act. It concentrates Black political power into as few districts as possible, limiting representation and violating federal law. For over 30 years, we've worked with communities across Maryland to enforce the Voting Rights Act, from Bowie to Salisbury, Pocomoke to Federalsburg. And our work has helped elect Maryland's first Black leaders in numerous towns and counties, and even led to innovative community repair efforts like public apologies and the renaming of streets to honor community members who have positively contributed to the pursuit of justice. These stories prove that what's possible when people demand better and when leaders have the courage to listen. 30% of Baltimore County residents are Black, as you've heard recently from my colleagues here. And people of color make up 48% of the county's population. Courts across the country have rejected packed 60% Black districts because they dilute Black voting power. Compact districts with a 51 to 55% Black population are enough, and they work. We understand that no one wants their community divided, but going from 7 districts to 9 districts requires some changes, and those changes must serve equity and fairness. We must resist the urge to protect the status quo at the expense of equal opportunity. And this is not just about who gets elected. It's about who holds power. And the goal isn't only to elect Black or BIPOC officials, it's to ensure that 4 districts are accountable to Black and BIPOC voters, responsive to their concerns, and representative of their priorities. Black and BIPOC voters are not a monolith. When their voices are confined to just 2 districts, their diverse needs get flattened. And those districts are often expected to speak for everyone, which is neither fair nor effective. Representation means being heard, having influence, and seeing your community's needs being prioritized. Right now, that's not the reality for far too many people in Baltimore County. We can and must change. Baltimore County voters deserve a council that represents and reflects them. You have the power as voters to make that happen. We urge you, the Redistricting Commission, to draw fair maps that honor our laws, our people, and our future. The ACLU stands ready to support you in this vital work. Thank you.
Thank you. We will also hear from the Baltimore County NAACP, Mr. Roland Patterson, Jr.
I want to say good afternoon, good evening to all of you here. We appreciate your presence and your taking the time to be here. I'm proud today, on behalf of the NAACP Baltimore County branch, to stand here with what I would call a community of power, a community determined to take and retake power. Why do I say this? I say this because while we look across the border of Baltimore City, we see a city or jurisdiction there who in the past 45 years has had but one Caucasian mayor. I'm not saying anything against Caucasian mayors. I know Martin O'Malley, think the world of him, but what I'm saying is that they there in that jurisdiction have lines, come on somebody, they have lines that have allowed them to be able to elect minority mayors, minority state's attorneys. Do you realize that since maybe 1972, every state's attorney in Baltimore City has been minority? We are yet in Baltimore County in 2025 to know a minority of any background in the state's attorney's office, in the chief judge's seat, in the, well, with the exception of one, in the county council presidency, and certainly with no exceptions, in the county executive seat. So what's wrong with Baltimore County? Why is it that in Baltimore County, these things are hopes and dreams where there are points of fact and long history just across the line? It appears clear to me that there is something afoot. A great man rose up to be Speaker of the House there in Washington. Newt Gingrich was his name, and he said that the Republicans are the party of ideas. Well, I'm still looking for those ideas. Why do I say that? Because it is the Republicans who are drawing lines in Baltimore County that makes sure that they retain power and that Republicans are the majority of the council, or that they retain their seats on the council. It is the Republicans who are manipulating rules and having initiatives like we did in November 2024, or the ballot initiative that called for the enlargement of the council, where in fact the map was drawn to ensure Republicans won seats instead of that it was a fair map where everyone had an equal opportunity to win. I'm suggesting that the time has come. I'm suggesting that the time is here where we dispense with games and with chicanery and with manipulations, and where we call on the parties, no matter D or R or I or whatever they might be, to play fair, to play by the rules, to become candidates and committees and parties of what ideas, and may the best ideas win. And I say that with everything I have to offer. May the best, I believe in the competition of ideas. Let the best ideas win. And let's stop with the selection by candidates of their voters. That's what's really going on here. Candidates are selecting their voters as opposed to voters selecting their officials. Is anybody tired of that? If so, as I close, we need now to call on the great interim county executive, Klaus Meyer, and the great president of the council, Ertel, to do what? To reject manipulation, to reject gamesmanship, to reject dishonesty, and to make sure that the rights, the equal rights of parties, of people, of citizens who are here in this county believing and trusting in what we deliver them, that it is true, that it is right, and that it reflects what was sworn to when officials raised their hands and said, I do. Thank you so very much for your time and for your energy.
Thank you very much. We have one more speaker, I believe, Ms. Maureen Bowie. She is a resident of Baltimore County, and she does a lot of other things. I'll let her share.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Maureen Wamboy, and as a community advocate, I support the adoption of the 315 redistricting map as a step forward in addressing historic disparities in Baltimore County. For far too long, Black, brown, and immigrant communities have been underrepresented in local government. This map, while not perfect, reflects meaningful progress. The inclusion of 3 majority Black districts and 1 BIPOC coalition district creates a stronger foundation for fair representation. It begins to bridge the gap between those who have traditionally held power and those whose voices have been marginalized. This map sends a message that Baltimore County is ready to acknowledge its changing demographics and to build a government that is more reflective of the people itself. It is a signal that we are moving, however gradually, toward equity, inclusion, and accountability. We know there is more work to be done, but by embracing the 315 map, we take an important step toward empowering communities that have long been overlooked. Let's continue to push for systems that bring all voices to the table, because when neighborhoods are heard, the streets are stronger. Thank you.
In closing, I just want to say that we all want a 315 map. We care about what it looks like, but we really just want fairness. We want